Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin, also known as Dirty 20 Gaming. These are my friends, and I haven't muted Twitch, but at least I know that our voices are coming through now. So good, we fixed that. That was part of the test. All right. So, for those of you that missed the last week, we got started. We had stuff happen, but we're going to get to that in a minute because the first thing I want to do is introduce the co-creators of this game. For those of you who haven't seen us do this before, and there's probably people that haven't, because like most of the world hasn't seen this. We are playing the co-op mode of Ironsworn, which means we have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. None of us is running the game. None of us is the GM. We're going to use the oracles in the game and our own imaginations to make it up as we go along, which is why last week got a little complicated. So, couple quick things here before we get started. First, the people that are going to tell this story tonight, starting off in the top left-hand screen, Ms. Robin playing Caridwen for us. I'm not even going to attempt that last name. She is a hunter in a world where almost no one carries weapons. Not because they wouldn't like to, but because they can't afford them, they can't get them made, and or they've got other stuff to do. On the bottom left, we have Karis Sophia, who is playing Amala for us, a shaman in training, which I think is a really cool thing that's possible in this game. Most games you start out like, I'm a shaman. This one, I'm a shaman in training. So there's a difference, right? And then, I'm getting no sound yet from Coffee Dragon. Hang on. I'm sending. And let's see this if it's coming back to me. Yeah, I am getting noise on Twitch.
I told them to make sure to tell us.
Yeah, I absolutely, yeah. Coffee Dragon, we have sound going out on Twitch. I'm not sure why you're not getting it. Fated, you can hear us, right?
There is sound on Twitch.
I can hear us.
Okay, we're good. Okay, well, we will keep going, and hopefully that's just a, maybe it's not set to headphones or something. Anyway, so that was Karis playing Amala for us, our soon-to-be, there you go.
Full-fledged shaman.
Somebody's talking you through it. She's on her way to being a shaman. And then down here below me, Austin, who is playing Gear for us, our animal kin. To be fairly brutally honest about this, mostly animal.
Not so
a little
much
bit
kin
of kin
part.
in there, a little bit of human in there a bit, but yeah, Gear was, he might not have been raised by wolves, but it's damn close. And that's our storytellers for tonight. The system we're using is Ironsworn, written and created by Sean Tompkin. We're playing the co-op mode tonight, as I mentioned, so everything's made up on the fly. I want to mention that all the art in the game that we've used up until now, all that stuff you saw in the preview, plus the backdrops for Karis and myself, are all from the manual. No? I thought that one was from the manual. Not anymore?
No,
okay.
This one isn't.
Almost all the art in this game is from Sean's manual. Sorry about that. All the character art is, and this background, and then all the stuff in the prequel. So thank you for that. Now, something that the audience is not going to see, but I want to talk about anyway, because he has done some amazing work behind the scenes. Ethan is his name. He has created the sheet, or modified, or created the character sheet for Ironsworn on Roll20, and it was already amazing, and in the last 10 days, he has added a tremendous number of features. And for anybody that's considering playing this on Roll20, every single move is now on the character sheet. Every single oracle is now on the character sheet. There's space for your bonds and everything else. It is an exceptionally well put together sheet. Thank you, Ethan, for that. That's going to make this a lot easier. But unfortunately, our audience is only ever going to see the results of this sheet. So I wanted to mention it. One more thing I want to mention. If you think that Ironsworn is interesting to you, and I will say it has a solo mode. For those of us who sometimes don't want to have a bunch of people around, those of us who are from time to time more introverted, you can play this game all by yourself. You can have grand adventures and not have to talk to anybody. So if
Except
that
yourself.
appeals to you, just Google Ironsworn. There's all kinds of source material out there, and I would very strongly suggest joining the Ironsworn Discord. Just Google Ironsworn Discord. It's right there. They are an amazingly helpful group of people if you want to get into this game.
You can get all the PDFs on ironswordrpg.com.
Yes, they are, and those PDFs are,
and they're free,
and they are completely free. So what I would suggest is download them for free. Have a session or two with you or your friends. Decide it's amazing, and then do the right thing and go buy them from DriveThruRPG or from Sean directly. Show your love with your wallet. That's a sort of. That's how we do it here in capitalist land. So do it that way if you wouldn't mind. So with that,
21st century economy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, vote with your wallet. It used to be vote with your feet. Now it's vote with your wallet. So with that, let's vote with our minds to get back to our tale. As I mentioned, last week got a tiny bit confusing. A lot of things got added to the plate. As was pointed out in our off-stream chat, we have had a major plot twist, and we still don't actually have a plot. So that's good. That's a good start. All of us are involved in at least 2, sometimes 3 or more vows already. There has been a certain amount of inter-party tension as 2 people vie to be the top dog, while the other 2 sort of giggle and laugh and watch them sort of growl at each other in the darkness. It's wonderful. And with that, I said I was going to do this last week. It's all him. I said I was going to do this last week, so I hope you guys are ready. Who wants to tell me, just me a brief 30 to 60 second summary of what happened last week?
I could do that.
The man who's been sucking halls all afternoon because he spent the morning screaming for science.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what happened. So we actually found that something was indeed wrong with the forest of Kinheim. Something had infested or moved into the forest and was displacing all of the natural cycles of the forest. With a vision of the river and a very impulsive plunge into the river, they determined that the river was indeed tainted. At that moment,
Gear tried some and spit blood. Yeah.
Yes, diplomatically put.
Yeah.
Knowing that something was absolutely desperately wrong, both with the danger to Kinheim and the danger to the nature that surrounds Kinheim, Bill and Gear both swore their first iron vows as a group.
Yep.
And as a team are going to tackle this, both for different reasons. Bill seeks to protect the people of Kinheim, and Gear seeks to protect the nature that surrounds it and restore its order. On this adventure, kind of following the river up to where potentially the source of this miasma or taint is, they ran into many woodland creatures that were infected or had been taken over by this taint and were feral or not natural in any way. Some took the form of some took the form of purple snakes, other of rabid wolves that bled acidic ichor. And
which, for those of you who don't know, is the worst kind of ichor.
Yeah. Debatable, but
at least that we've encountered so far.
And I believe the very last thing we left off on is in a burn of momentum, Karis managed to divert our story and find us a way across the river, in which this flock of crows that we had once mistaken for a stormy cloud encroaching on our location turned into a flock of ravens. And these ravens, I guess you could say they guided us in the imagery of the head of a wolf lunging at some kind of creature, an omen, if you will.
Yeah.
But in their collection in this area, they had built us a safe ford to cross this river. And Amala is the only one that can find it.
And the
Did
only
that
thing,
and the last time.
the only thing I
We're
will
on
add to
the other
that is
side.
that these incredibly helpful crows, also being crows, also told her that there was something else going on over here that she should probably look at.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Which is why I didn't notice the wolf
right.
yet again.
They
Yeah.
continuously were avoiding telling us anything about our current situation to point out other things that were the
Yes.
problem.
Oh, and
Or
one
a
other
problem.
thing, there was some progress towards somebody's main vow. So, Caradwin, why don't you tell us
Oh,
a little bit about
yes.
that?
That was in the first.
Was that the first all time?
session,
Okay,
yeah.
and that was an extra episode ago. Well, tell us about it anyway, because it's where we're going after this, right? This is as close as we've got to a plot. We got to do something with this.
Well, so Caradwin's main major epic vow is to find her missing, hopefully alive brother and find out what happened to him. And so she got 1 tick point out of 40.
Yep.
As to the name of a place in a region.
Yep.
That may have something.
That is
we
the
don't
next
know what it is. We
the
don't
next
know
step.
what it's going to be, and we don't know if it's a setting or a circle or a grove of trees.
Yep, we don't know what it is. So we will figure that out when we get there and roll the oracle, and it will tell us what the hell we went after halfway across this continent for.
It could be a leaf pile.
So I think that's enough summary, and that's enough. That's all the technical stuff out of the way. Let's get playing, and I think we find ourselves, as Austin pointed out, on the riverbank, looking for a ford that only one of us can see. So let's start
we
there.
Backed up a little bit because
Okay.
We ended getting across the river.
Okay, right.
Okay.
So we did get across.
So
the
you
river.
got us across the river on this ford that only you can see. Unscathed and
our
untouched.
little footies are fine with
Yep.
and did not touch the water. So
because we know this water is very, very tainted.
Yes, it is.
In fact, it will melt the flesh off the inside of your mouth.
Yes, it's
Try
that
to drink
tainted.
it.
Yes. So.
Which the crows told us was a problem.
Here's a non-believer.
The crows told you.
And I told you, and it was an augury, so it was true.
Yeah, next time you listen, damn it.
I don't believe in voodoo.
I don't do voodoo. I do good. So the crows were heading us off to the northwest. It was where they did the lunging like a wolf, except they weren't talking about this poor mangy wolf that we just that I didn't notice and you took care of. And we don't know what we're going to find with that. So do we try heading that direction, do you think? I mean, Caradwin, are there any trails here we should maybe follow? I mean, the river's going to go out. I mean, we're going to deviate from the river some, I think.
So we know that this thing has built a dam somewhere, at least from what Bill has told us. And the dam has recently broken, showered water kind of off that waterfall. So maybe we take a look around, see if we can find any evidence of limbs missing from trees, something like that, something that a creature would grab to drag away to make some kind of dam.
So
So
stick.
what we're
stick
talking
near the
about here
river
is
so far.
either we go further up the river and investigate that, or we follow the crows and investigate that. We can't really do both at the same time.
I don't think we can. They seem to be, unless the river changes direction and we don't know.
We don't know that.
I
That's
think it
right.
would be safest to stay at least close to the river, since something's obviously wrong and affecting the area around it. It could cause damage to the circles in the area. I don't think we should discount what your auguries have told you, and that they are concerned. But if
Well,
our
and
main,
if the crows want us to do something, they could be a little clearer about what.
I don't know how that quite works, but I'm sure they can. So I think our best bet would be to stay close to the river and at least try to see if we can figure out where this taint is coming from.
What if we're thinking
You're an
about this
hunter,
wrong?
right, miss? You're good at finding your way around.
Yes.
So maybe you take a sort of sighting or some sort of thing from here and you figure out where them crows landed. So that when we go up the river, you can get us redirected in that direction if necessary.
Yes, I have a very vague idea of where they went from where we are right now, and I will keep that in mind as we move forward.
And I'm not sure how it works, but perhaps Madam could call the crows back again if we're all lost and such.
Oh, definitely.
Gear, I'll speak up and I'll say, what if we're thinking about this wrong? These creatures of the forest, they don't stay in one spot, they roam. What if this thing is both the thing that was building dams in the river and also hunting in the trees? The crows simply showed us its location when it was there. This thing is moving back and forth.
That seems like another reason to go to the dam then and see if we can find any tracks. You lot can track, right? Looking at the two of you.
Keep your eyes peeled. If this thing is building dams, it will pick limbs and sticks off the ground. When we find an area that's less covered than the others, we'll know we're getting close.
As long as what is causing this change in the river is a creature, it could just be a creature that's affected by it.
Either way, I don't want to run into no giant rabid beavers.
Or rabid beavers.
And if we keep standing here, we're going to come up with at least five
we're
more
just die
other
of old
theories.
age while we're having this conversation.
We'll come up with 5 more theories we're going to have to investigate.
So, all right, let's move then. And then,
while we're moving, I will, I think, take the gather information move
Makes
to
sense.
see if there's any clues or anything in
I was going to say,
that regard.
yeah, Bill is going to be at the back, and he's got feet is out of the pack and standing on top of the pack, but looking backwards. So Bill's basically got 4 eyes. Right, if anything comes up behind him, feet starts pounding on his head with his mandibles to get his attention.
I will.
Oh, that's fun.
Gnawing on my ear. There's somebody back here.
I'm going to follow Caradwyn, and as she's kind of gathering the information, I am going to try to make sense of it from the mind of a creature, and see, okay, if she finds broken sticks, I want to see what the teeth marks in them look like, if they've been handled or anything. Try to secure an advantage, find out what we're dealing with.
Well,
Sure.
I don't think I found anything useful.
No, I don't think you did.
It's as useful as my crows ever are.
It's okay. Good thing I'm here.
There you go.
Oh my god! You just the biggest complication ever.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, that's awful. I just saw that.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no.
So then that is roll investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth that undermines your quest. So I guess pay the price then? Yeah?
Well, you got to tell us first. You got to tell us what happened.
What did you see?
Story first.
Yes, story first.
Maybe you found something that really points to what kind of creature this is. And I rolled really well on my secure and advantage, so maybe I could help you identify it.
What I was thinking was, as as Caradwin is looking for any kind of tracks or any kind of clues to what could be around the river or the source of this taint, she doesn't really find anything that concrete. She instead starts noticing that there are there's pieces of rocks and earth that are moved, but not in any way that is normal for a creature. At least not one like a beaver or a wolf or anything. They've shifted. It's like they've shifted, like just minusculely, so that you can see the track, but it's not any kind of track or clue as to what could be causing it.
Do you suppose there really are monsters?
So
There are
that,
monsters.
that was the information you gathered. So based on that, the advantage that Gear finds is kind of following you with your eyes to the ground, looking for movement and things that have been displaced. Gear is kind of on all alert and covering the areas you're not covering. So he's kind of off to the sides and looking up. And as we're getting closer and closer to this thing, he reaches out and he puts his hand on your shoulder to stop you. And he goes, "Look." And he points up, and up in the trees, on these limbs that are outstretched, they're beginning to droop like the vitality's being sucked from them. And there are these little tiny blue mushrooms.
Perfect.
And they're very sporadic at the moment, but they glow this brilliant bioluminescent kind of unnatural blue color.
Nice. Well, that works because as you point that out, Bill kind of comes up and bumps into the back of you because he hasn't been paying very much attention himself. But luckily, Feet has. He gathered some very good. He got a strong hit on his gather information. So he scuttles down off of Bill's arm and starts poking around at all this stuff and poking around at the mushrooms, and then runs back up on his arms, and his antennae kind of point in one direction and wiggle, and Bill looks in that direction. Oh, look, there's a right trail of them. And now that you know what they look like, there's this little trail of blue mushrooms kind of growing on these, now that you see them, these increasingly sapped trees in this area that's going ahead of us.
Well, that makes our job a little easier. And I'm not going to touch these things. That's such a dumb idea.
Yeah, even Gear. I mean, you already licked the lake, and that didn't go well.
I will pick up a stick from nearby, kind of farther away from the river, so we know it's not going to burn me, and kind of like maybe like nudge the mushroom just to see if it emits anything.
What
and
happens?
kind of step back.
There's a thing.
And
There's a thing. There's an oracle.
There's a thing. There's an oracle. What?
How
do
bad?
you want to use the oracle, or do you have an idea?
I have an idea, but I want to know whether it happens or not. So, out of almost certain, likely, 50-50, unlikely, or a small chance, what do you think the chances are that touching that mushroom is going to go badly?
I mean, with how things have been going, I'd say 50-50.
50-50? Okay.
Or higher.
Yeah.
Let's give you 50-50.
This is our first one. Let's do 50-50 just to be safe.
So,
oh yeah,
that's something is very bad.
But so, that's why she used the stick and kind of was like doing it so that she could move away fast.
Yeah.
Kind of like wasn't gonna touch it.
So now tell us what happens now that things have gone bad.
You said you had an idea, Kevin, or?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So when she touches, it's not like typical like spores don't emit from it or anything like that. They don't do that. but the stick that she touched it with starts to turn kind of that iridescent blue on the tip and kind of starts to like, it's like the fungus is like spreading and crawling up it. And so she just
Ooh.
kind of drops the stick down so it doesn't touch her.
So it was an 81. That's quite bad. So I would suggest when the stick hits the ground, they kind of go onto the ground and then start to spread on the ground.
Yeah, and I was thinking that like not immediately, but after a few seconds or something like that, after about a minute or so, mushrooms start to sprout from it. Like it's starting to grow more of them.
Ooh.
I wants to try something, and I pull out my shovel, my bronze shovel, and I dig a little hole around these mushrooms before they get too spread out, and I lift that piece of turf up, like up off the ground if I can a little bit, and then haul out tinder and flint, and I want to see if I can light that on fire.
Ooh. What are the chances that it's extremely flammable?
Yeah.
What are the chances that that's a poisonous fume?
Yeah, those are all good questions.
I think it's
Bill's
pretty
not very
high that
smart.
it's a poisonous fume.
Well, we already know it
So-
does horrible things, so
I'm gonna throw this out there as we're you're just fucking with the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna have to face danger here in a minute.
oh yeah, it
Yeah.
might very well be me. But I want to see if I can. I would say that it's likely that something goes wrong out of these options. Does that seem
Are we
reasonable?
talking wrong or like horribly, terribly wrong?
Well, we'll see. 26 or greater, it's something bad happen, and I would suggest the higher the number, the worse it gets.
I like your style, Kevin.
58. That's not so bad.
That's
So yeah, I get it all lifted up, and it's kind of, I mean, it's duff in the forest, right? This shit is flammable. So I get it kind of lifted up and put it over by the river somewhere where it's moist, so it's not going to burn the whole forest down. I get my tinder and flint out, and I got to be right over it to get that done. And as it catches in the sort of peat, and the little mushrooms goes up, just and it just turns into smoke and kind of up through my face. And I would like to face danger.
Oh no! Oh
I wouldn't
no!
like to face danger, but I'm going to. And this is going to be attempting to. I mean, I'm just trying to flick back, so it's got to be edge, which is terrible. And I get no modifiers. A weak hit, and I don't have enough momentum to make it better. So yeah,
You succeed, but face a troublesome
I
cost.
succeed, but okay, that makes
Ooh.
perfect sense.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
leaps back,
Endure one
wipes his
harm or
eyes.
endure stress, maybe.
Oh shit! Opens his eyes. He's blinking out. I can hardly see. I can't see more than about 10 feet.
Oh, danger!
I think we should stop testing these things.
And yeah, I'm gonna do an endure harm
It
for sure.
doesn't.
I'm
seem
inclined
to,
to
go well.
agree. Out
It
of
doesn't go
curiosity,
well.
Kevin, where did that flammable mushroom end up hitting the ground and or somewhere else?
Well, the thing is, I got a minor success. So we discovered we can burn them, but
Okay.
when you burn them, don't breathe the fumes.
Now,
or don't
when
get
you-
the fumes in your face because it makes you all but blind.
When you burn this thing, was it just like a quick flash, or was this like an eruption of fire, like pouring like creamer on a fire?
Well, that's why I just did the endure harm roll to find out, and I got a weak hit. So I will do the embrace the pain. I take 1 momentum. No, I'm not. That's not Bill. That's not Bill at all. I will shake it off. If your health is greater than 0, suffer -1 momentum in exchange for +1 health. So I took the damage, but I absorbed it, and I lose 1
Wait,
momentum.
that's on a strong hit.
But then it says on the bottom, on a miss, also suffer -1 momentum. So it's also. Oh no, I got a weak hit. So yeah,
On a weak
pardon
hit,
me.
you press
Embrace the
on.
pain. Take 1 momentum on a weak hit. You press on. So I take 1 damage and 1 momentum.
Mm-hmm. But you can't get rid of that damage.
And 1 momentum. -1 momentum. Oh, down to +3. All right. So there's that. So yeah, Bill's having trouble seeing.
I'm
And is like
inclined.
it's I mean he took damage, so yeah, he's wiping his eyes, and when he brings his hands away, there's like blood stream, like not streaming, but their fingerprints, like little bits of blood from his eyes, like Gear's mouth.
I'm inclined to agree with Amala. We should stop messing with this.
Well, at least we know what to do if we find a big one. And he's just peering, like he can't see anything. And Feet is now on top of his head, like trying to be his eyes, using his antenna to steer his head.
Then, now we know this thing is flammable, whatever is the cause of this. We should find something that we can use to burn it if we need to. Some
From a
pitch,
distance,
sap,
though. From a
something.
distance.
And Gear is going to take a quick minute to gather something akin to maybe a lightable torch. And
So,
some
dry piece of wood and some dry moss or something.
and he's really versed in the forest. I, however, am not. So he's probably going to try to find something sticky like sap, something
Sure,
that would
yeah.
be like a pitch that
Yep.
he could not only apply to the torch but apply to Caradwin's arrows.
Okay.
And so with your tinder, his torch, and Caradwin's pitch arrows, we might be able to really assault this thing. So what I'd like to do is try to secure an advantage, but give the benefit to Caradwin.
Or would it be more like a resupply? Are you looking for stuff? Or is it
I'm
more
not looking
like
for. I'm not looking for supplies for us. More something we can use against this foe or this collection of plants, whatever. Because now we know it's flammable, right?
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if we
Yeah, that
find a
does-
cluster of this that's a source and we burn it, but again, we can't be
Yeah,
close to it.
So yeah, I would probably do the secure advantage, but then you're going to have to make a note somewhere because that advantage isn't going to be used until we sort of encounter this
Yeah.
thing.
Well, it'll basically just be in the form of momentum. Oh
Right.
yes.
There we go, a strong
Oh.
hit. So you gain advantage. You can take control,
so-
make another move now, which makes no sense, or prepare to act and just take +2 momentum. So
Take
yeah,
2
you are
momentum,
you
so
are
that'll help.
prepped.
And so
That's 3 total.
not me. I'm giving that bonus to Caradwin.
Oh, okay.
And the way he
okay.
does this is he just kind of goes, "Wait here," and kind of walks off into the trees. And about 5 minutes go by, and he comes back with this maybe 2-foot long stick that has just been wrapped in these really long leaves and covered
Sure.
in this sap. And he hands it to Bill without a word, walks over and holds his hand out for Caradwin to give him her hand.
And she'll take it.
And when he has her by the wrist, her kind of palm open, he leans down and he just spits this nasty glob of pitch into her hand. And he, coat your arrows in that. It's flammable. And kind of just turned to walk away.
You'll
How
owe
did-
me new
yeah.
arrows.
I was waiting for you to wipe it on his back as he walked away.
But it's like this sticky black, it's got like sticks and kind of leaves in it, but I mean, if you smell it, it smells pretty.
She's not gonna smell it.
No.
But
To
she'll
Gear
put
it tastes and
couple
smells pretty
arrows
rank
in
and flammable.
So yeah, I guess sure. Yeah, take +2 momentum. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, she'll coat a couple of them in that. And yeah.
And since
I
you have
really-
the tinder or the tinder box, not the tinder box, the flint, you'll be
Mhm.
in charge of lighting the torch.
Right. I lights the torch, I throws the
the
torch, and then
fire.
we runs away, right?
And
Once we find out what this
as
is.
you guys have been
Depends.
doing that, Amala, again, not paying any attention whatsoever, has
Honest.
been looking at this, the trail in the trees of the mushrooms, and has been kind of using a combination of what she does in the augury of sending out her spirit to call and summon the crows, but
Mhm.
sending out her spirit and absorbing the light at the end of day to
Right.
sort of absorb what the spirits of the area are doing, and to sort of just sort of expand out, and is this the track of the blight? Is this the how expansive is it? We're thinking about taking a torch to it, but if this thing's infested the entire area, how big is this?
Because mushrooms grow under the ground,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the mother
Not
mushroom.
in you get a damp enough environment, and you get fungi growing up amongst
They can grow
the mosses and
everywhere,
the trees,
but a lot of the times, like the root network is underground, or at least
yeah.
bigger than what you see.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's a good idea.
And unfortunately, what I'm thinking about as I've been looking through some of the ritual things, excuse me a sec.
Mhm.
Bless you.
Thank
Bless
you.
you.
I honestly think this is bridging on shadow walking, and
Yeah.
which shadow is not what I do. I do wits, not shadow.
Right.
But I think that's what this is.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm inclined to do a shadow thing to sort of find out maybe how likely is it, if it's a miss, I'm off track and that's not what we're going. If it's a strong hit, I'm on the right track, this thing is big, and then maybe we consult the oracle to find out how big is it, is kind of what I'm thinking
Absolutely.
of
Yep.
doing mechanically.
Yeah, I like that very much.
All right, so
that is one of your,
shadow.
just to be clear, that's one of your assets, is it?
It is not.
Oh, okay.
It's not one of her assets.
Right.
It
So she's
is
just going to roll
not.
shadow.
Yep. Just
I'm
pure
just
shadow
gonna
then, yeah.
do a shadow roll. I mean, now I'm using my wits in an unusual way, so I don't know if that would give me a modifier, but I'm inclined to do just a straight shadow roll.
Well, what your wits is 3, right? That's your biggest stat.
Yeah.
I would say that would give you at least a +1 to your shadow roll, because you're using, like,
'Cause
you're trying to get into the shadow
I'm trying
space.
to leverage, and I'm trying to leverage
Exactly.
2 rituals that I do
Yes.
all of the time.
Yep.
Okay, so
I would say at least a +1. So yeah, give wits +1. Yeah. Or no, shadow
no,
+1. Sorry.
shadow +1.
Yeah. Which means it's the same as wits anyway, because your shadow was 2, right? So, oh. And according to that, you don't have enough momentum to change that.
No.
She burned it last episode.
Right.
So you said
Yeah,
that would
so
mean
it's-
that this is the wrong, that's not the right.
This approach isn't going to get me anything.
Right.
You're kind of on the
So,
wrong track.
Yeah,
And-
I'm on the wrong track. That this, trying to use my rituals this way didn't work.
The
Are there
shadow
any
walk didn't work, yeah.
consequences to perverting the way of your rituals?
Where did shadow walk go again? Which I'm not doing shadow walk,
No,
but
but it's
one
a
of
good-
the
it's a good place to look,
consequences
yeah.
is either in facing danger or taking or enduring stress.
Ooh. Would it be stressful if you tried to use your rituals in the wrong way and failed?
And particularly
Well, yeah, 'cause that causes spirit damage. So
Which makes,
that would.
that's what makes sense to me, yeah. Does that make
So-
sense? So
Okay,
yeah.
so
So let's do a face
I
stress.
haven't done this. How do I do? How do
Let's
I
go
do
to
that?
moves.
Endure stress.
Endure stress. Yep. It's in the suffer.
Suffer moves.
Yeah.
Ah, there it is. Endure stress. Okay, when I face
Yeah.
a mental
shock or despair. I would say that this is absolutely that. Yeah.
Okay, minus spirit equal to your foe's rank or as appropriate to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
If my spirit 0. Okay, so I mean, this I was trying to do something, but I don't think that I don't think it was that high.
Mm-mm. You were experimenting. It wasn't.
I
like
was
you-
experimenting. Yeah.
Well, maybe you got it right, but weren't prepared for what you saw when you stepped into the shadows.
Because it's not one of your assets, so you've never experienced anything like that.
Right. Yeah, first time in the shadow world. And it's
Yeah.
much darker and nastier than you thought it was.
And maybe the source of this fungus is not a beast, but some kind of spirit or something that you happen to see.
So that would then
Okay.
move to mental shock.
Okay.
So the end
So
result
I suffer a
mechanically.
minus spirit equal to my foe's rank or as appropriate to the situation. So in this case, it'd be a minus spirit. I'm at 5, -1, do you think?
At the
Bring my spirit
most,
down to
yeah.
Yeah, probably
4.
1. I would
Well, because
say.
on a
Bring my
miss you also suffer -1 momentum. So I would say you would suffer 1 spirit and 1 momentum out of this. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then roll plus spirit or plus heart, whichever is higher. Plus spirit is higher.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, where is that? This was endure stress. Roll spirit. No modifiers.
Nope, they balance out.
Strong hit. I either shake it off and take, and I can either and I could take -1 momentum in exchange for +1 spirit, or embrace the darkness and take +1. Oh my!
Is Amala ready to embrace the darkness?
What does she see, and is she ready to face it?
Okay, so I attempted this. I'm aware that most of what Weena does as a shaman is shadow based.
Yeah.
So I've tried this, tried to use what I know about the witch rituals, dipped my toe into the shadow, gotten a taste of what she deals with all the time. And okay, this is a new major insight into her. Oh my.
It's also, I would suggest, a pretty major insight into what you're going to have to be willing to do to accomplish to be a real shaman. It means living in that place.
By wits.
Yeah.
I definitely can't do everything by wits.
It's not going to be enough. You're going to either have to shake it off and fight off the darkness, or you embrace it.
Okay. This is going to take me a little bit of time, so I'm going to continue to have Amala, still sort of questing out and not paying any attention on. So you guys continue what you're doing for a couple of minutes.
You think, yeah, absolutely. This is a big, big moment. Like, this is a life-changing moment for Amala. So by all means, take a couple minutes.
Something I thought I was just dipping my toes in.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like this. Oh my God! Because I imagine you sense the amazing power in that as well. That's always the appeal to the dark side, right? It's the free power, cheap power. It's right there. It's easy. Right, staying in the light is always harder.
Ooh, I like this.
I mean, we are in the 3rd episode, and you are making the Luke Skywalker decision right now. The one whether you're going to become a Jedi Knight or a Sith Lord. It happens right now.
This is like Bill sort of almost by accident making an iron vow. It's kind of like I'm almost by accident.
Yes.
Well, and
I guess that's the only way it ever happened.
This is how real people do this shit, right?
Weena knows.
Oh yeah.
The instant you do this.
So yeah, has she been
protecting you? She would know.
You sense her in the darkness.
You'd set off her
shadows.
Inner alarm.
The force is strong with
yes. This is going to be fun.
Somebody's going to have any of this. Yeah, but your
somebody's going to have to test their vow when we get back to town. You weren't expecting that quite so quick.
Yeah.
Or not that one. I wasn't expecting to have to test that one.
Yes.
Would shaman would she condone this type of behavior? Or would she be furious
That's what she's got to try and figure out right now, but we're not going to know until we get back into town. And Shaman, played by this lady over here, is going to make that decision.
Yeah, but no, Weena wouldn't
No,
approve
she-
of my testing it and tried it. No, there's
No.
a way you go about these
Yes.
things, and that's
Especially
not
so early.
it.
Yeah, that's grade 7. You're only in grade 4. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so we'll give you some time to think. Meanwhile, I mean, we were all looking around anyway. So at that, as she was doing that, we were tracking these mushrooms. So I would suggest, out of all those results, we've got a pretty good idea of where the direction. Like there seems to be a direction that they've come from. Like mushrooms, if you see them in your yard, they tend to kind of grow in a weavy line. So we can see a line. Well, you guys can. Bill can't see shit. He can
Because
only
he's
see
hiding
about 10
behind
feet.
everybody.
Yeah, he is absolutely
and
at the
he's
back
blinded.
with
Oh,
feet on
and
his
he's
head.
blinded.
So, yeah, he's only got 10 feet of vision right now.
But so Caradwin would definitely, she's used to working in kind of groups, so she'll definitely be trying to make sure that everyone is staying together. Like even if they don't seem to be really paying attention, she'll be like herding them along.
Sure, yeah.
So that nobody gets lost, basically.
I like to think that at some point somebody looks up and sees that Feet is eating one of the blue mushrooms with absolutely no side effects whatsoever. He's a cockroach. You
Yeah,
can't
they
kill
can survive
cockroaches. He's like, yeah, it's a little spicy.
One of the antennas grows a little mushroom, and he just reaches up and cleans it off.
I'm having that too. Yeah.
So as we move along this path of mushrooms, then they begin to widen and become more and more frequent. Eventually, one of us is going to have to say what this thing is.
Yep.
Should we roll for it?
These
Roll a
are- but-
d4?
'cause, I'll tell you something. Amala did not follow you, so if you are physically moving further down that trail, at some point you're gonna.
Well,
Robin,
Caradwin,
or not Robin, Caradwin is keeping us all together.
Yeah.
Amala's not paying any attention whatsoever.
Yeah,
and is
Caradwin
not
will
there.
be doing like the nudging along, like she'll be like trying to get your attention, but you're not paying attention. So just
Well,
trying to move
Kind
you
of just
along,
gazing
assuming you're
around.
this
maybe in
makes
shock or something.
this answers the
Uh,
question then, because Amala's not paying attention. Caradwin's on doing something else, and Bill can only see 10 feet. So
So
there's
it's
only one
here.
person who's looking around and paying attention. So gather some information, and depending on how you do, tell us what we find.
And if you
Oh,
need
no.
to use an oracle,
This is.
Yeah, we can
Oh,
use an oracle
I have
once we
so
see
many
what the result is.
ideas. I have so many ideas, and none of them make any sense.
has any of this made any sense?
Roll wits to gather information. Do I? And we are in the woods.
Yep, so that's a +1.
This is.
You can do it.
Wow, a
Ooh,
strong hit
let's
with a
see.
5.
Wow.
That is the dice telling
Wow.
us we owed one. We earned one there.
About
On a
20.
strong hit, you discover something very helpful and specific. The path you must follow or action you must take is clear. And take 2 momentum. Oh, I'm at 10, guys.
You
Oh!
can change anything, so yeah.
I'm at 6 now with the
So,
help of Gear.
what oracle are we gonna ask?
If y- I have an idea of what this could be, but I don't think
Sure.
you guys want to hear it. So
What does your
Hasn't
devious
stopped
mind
any of
have
us yet.
planned?
this is bad. So, oh, this is perfect. Oh, this makes sense. It's a burden.
Yeah.
Um.
Roll the oracle, damn it. That's what
Oh
it's
my
there for.
god. Okay, so this is what happens. So Gear is kind of walking maybe 3 or 4 feet ahead of everybody, and Caradwin is kind of herding everybody along behind him.
And trying to keep them close enough to him.
And so he's kind of stalking alongside this path of mushrooms becoming more and more frequent. And as he moves forward, he stops in place because sitting about 20 feet in front of him is this perfect ring of about 5 feet of mushrooms.
Fairy ring.
And he moves closer and closer. And without disturbing any of the mushrooms, he reaches down into the center of the ring and pulls up something in his hands about this big, perfectly cylindrical, no pockmarks, no nothing, is a cylinder of iron. And as he begins to look around for what this piece of iron has attracted, there is flashes of movement around the outside of this fairy ring. There is something moving very, very quickly, floating off the ground with spores and almost robe-like vines trailing behind it. And as it stops and comes out of the tree slowly, there's this horrible but beautiful looking forest spirit. It's like a shade. And as it moves forward, the trees actually wither away from it as it comes out into the area where we are.
Oh, that gave me goosebumps. You just invented the anti-dryad.
Yeah. And Gear is sitting there watching this while holding what attracted this thing, and he's just like Gear in the headlights.
The nice thing with this is it's going to give Amala a chance to have a minute or two to think, because something else is about to happen, one suspects.
She knew about this thing before we did.
Yep. So, there it sits, approaching as you hold its goal in your hands. I have had far too much coffee, and before we go into anything remotely like combat, I need a 5-minute break. So,
and then I'll be ready with Amala.
Perfect. So we will do that before we move on to this combat, because we'll have just had it happen before that. So at the moment, I'm going to shut off the sound. I'm going to put up the break screen, and we will be back in like 10 minutes or so. Back shortly, everybody. Hello, we have returned. Let us check for sound. Do we have sound? Yes, we have sound. Life is grand. Okay, so before the break, many things happened. Before we go back to many things, though, I want to once again quickly toss some kudos out where they belong. This amazing game that we're playing is called Ironsworn. We're playing the co-op version. The author-creator is Sean Tompkin, and you should immediately Google Ironsworn and go and get his stuff. It's a fantastic game, and you can play it by yourself if you don't want to or choose not to play with other people. Quickly, also, the character sheet that we've been using all night that's been making this really quick and easy for us is put together by Ethan. You can find him and Sean also over at the Ironsworn Discord. Pop over there if this game interests you at all. They're a very, very helpful group. So,
your Nightbot didn't let...
Apparently, Nightbot is
didn't let
done
Robin
evil.
Post the link to it.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'll have to fix that, because we got links all over the... You know what I hear the stupid part is? The links are in... There's a bunch of links in Nightbot, so it should be editing itself, too. Anywhere.
It was just the link to the Ironsworn.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
So, it's not there anymore, so
no.
We need
IronswornRPG.
Yes. Yeah.
We need like a command that we can use to bring it up.
Yes, that's a
that
very good idea.
brings up their site, the RPG.
Yeah. I just discovered Nightbot last week, so I will fix it. I mean,
and the Discord,
Nightbot went back and deleted all your messages too. You might have been banned from the chat channel. Shame.
I don't think so. It just said it gave you a timeout. You got timed out for 5
but
seconds.
It deleted all my messages.
Oh.
Yeah, it went back and deleted all her messages.
Wow. Nightbot is a bastard. Wow.
We need a command for us to be able to post the links for Ironsworn in the Discord and the.
I will figure that out and get that done this week. So
if
unfortunately,
we want to do our credits, we need, or maybe if we do our credits stuff.
People will be forced to fall back on the world's worst panel below the screen here, which has most of that information on it. All right, no more putting stuff off. This is it. This is serious. We have many serious things happening here. So with that, we're going to back up. We're going to back up just a fraction from where we were. We are going to back up that scene where Gear found a a limit. Um,
Found a
Oh.
limit.
oh dear. Coffee Dragon has now been timed out for 5 seconds because she typed in all caps.
You need to change your Nightbot rules.
I
there,
need to
Kevin.
shoot Nightbot is what I need to do. I thought
You need to
Nightbot
put
was
him
supposed to
down.
be helpful. That's not helpful. It's pissing everybody off and throwing people out of the chat.
Put him down.
Yeah, put Nightbot down. That's my instruction. Put Nightbot down.
Nice. Euthanize.
Out of
It can
its
hear us.
misery.
Get new
It's so
Nightbot.
grumpy. It's too grumpy.
I'll get another one, as Bill Cosby said to one of his kids, go ahead, I will kill you and make another one that looks just like you.
Oof. Oof. Oof.
So, enough fooling around, enough wasting time. We're going to back things up just a tiny little bit. Just before Gear made his very important discovery about the mushrooms and the anti-dryad, Amala, you have a decision to make.
So I assume that because people are moving on and Caradwin's trying to keep people together, that Caradwin is actually looking at Amala right now.
Yes, she's probably been trying to get her attention as they moved, but she seemed so out of it that she's just kind of like nudged her along with Bill, but like has been checking in like, are you okay? And she
Well,
figures it's one of your shaman things that you're doing
Because you've seen me cast Augury a few times. You may have seen me do the evening lights thing.
and she's seen Winna do the scry.
She's seen Winna do the scry. And so as I sort of expand out into the shadow world and sort of cast out and not calling for the crows the way I normally would in the natural world, but just sort of sensing what's out there. And this is the first time I've really tried anything with shadow, and it opens up so large. I mean, you've seen light come into Amala in her evening light ritual, and this is very much shadow coming over, and Amala dims in a way that you have not seen. And the distant look is still there, but there's this dawning realization and dawning horror on her face. And you hear kind of a slight flutter, and a single crow comes and lands nearby and kind of squawks a little bit and shuffles a little bit and waits. And it squawks a little more insistently and shuffles a little more insistently and waits. And you see that little bit of light, the evening light, sparks again. And it's almost like Amala just swells with anger and fury. And she kind of comes more to awareness. And the crow kind of nods, shuffles a little bit, and it flies back off. And I do want to consult the oracle and find out sort of how, well, no, because I had an actual miss, so I don't know how big this is.
Right.
But I caught glimpses of other things.
It feels gigantic at the very least.
Well, I got distracted.
So rather than dipping your toe in, you kind of dove in head first to this and were exposed to all kinds of things.
And I am going to embrace the darkness. Take the +1 momentum.
Yeah.
Just on the wave of fury.
Mm-hmm. So does this affect any of your vows at this point that you want to
It
share?
doesn't yet.
Okay.
It
Nice.
doesn't yet. It's going to take some processing. It is absolutely going to affect both the bond with Weena and the vow to obedience as her apprentice.
Okay. I'm looking forward to when we get back to town.
Don't
That
know
is
what
going
it's
to be-
going to do with the becoming a shaman, with my main sort of goal of
'Cause-
becoming a shaman. That
yeah.
is going to take some conferring with the crows before I can make any sort of decisions on
Well,
that front.
here's another question that you don't have to answer right now, but I think you might want to think about. Does what just happened constitute swearing an iron vow? The decision that you just made, embrace the dark,
Oh,
does that count as a vow? And if it does, how big a one? So Amala drifts back into her head to think.
it does.
And I imagine.
It does.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to shape it. I'm gonna
Yep,
have to
yep.
word what the
So-
actual vow is because there is an intent
Yes.
to break the obedience to my master vow.
And that in
and
itself
there is an
is-
intent to confront.
yeah.
And in fact, as Amala comes back to herself, because I've been unaware of the things that everyone else has been doing. She takes a deep breath, squares her shoulders, and turns to march off back towards the village, completely forgetting everything that we're doing here.
Sure.
And because Caradwin is watching her and kind of saw these mix of emotions pass over her and kind of is like concerned and not really paying attention to gear at the moment, which is
Yep.
dangerous.
And
Bad news.
yeah, and
So
I mean
she'll-
Bill's
she'll
fine because he's
result in
got
people getting
he's got
shot.
feet steering him, so he's fine.
and,
He's just following gear.
she'll have grabbed Amala's wrist to keep her from moving.
And Caradwin's probably aware of the stillness of the forest at this point and the
Yeah.
silence of gear.
She knows there's
and
something there. That's one of the reasons why she doesn't want Amala rushing off.
Yep.
She doesn't
Last
know
time
what
she
it
did-
is.
So it's catch is like turning right. Wait, what? Oh, right.
Yeah.
I have to wait on that.
And meanwhile,
what?
Bill's being steered by feet, and he all but bumps into the back of gear before he can see him because he can still only see like 10 feet. I don't know how long that's going to
Amala, are you
last until it
alright?
doesn't make sense anymore.
You were
Yes,
gone.
I'm fine. Yes, no, I'm. Yes, wait, what? We're doing what? We're right,
You were-
mushrooms. What are we doing with the mushrooms?
We were following them in gear. Gear?
You guys turn around, and at this point, he is just reaching down to pick up the piece of iron. And as he kind of holds it up to inspect it,
And so then we're seeing the thing flitting around to come and confront you.
moving
Mhm.
unnaturally fast.
And so Caradwin's got her
And
her
that's
her
going
bow,
to
pulls it out and kind of is like
and
gear.
that's going to confuse me because it's going to conflate with the other things I was seeing.
This
Okay.
is and we agreed during the break because I begged that I get to play this creature. So imagine every piece of dryad art you've ever seen and make it evil. Just her skin is black and oily. It's running off of her. There's no muscle mass left. She almost looks undead. She almost looks like a tree that is in the process of dying, but somewhere in the middle there's still a little tiny spark of life. And as she walks through the trees, dragging her fingers, everything they touch just dies as she touches it.
I will have one
Yep.
note.
Yep.
As she comes into more focus.
Yeah.
The fingers that they're kind of, like gnarled and twisty. they're smaller, but they look similar to the scars along Caradwin's head.
Oh shit!
Ooh, shit.
So if that, take that as you will with the characters noticing it. Bill probably can't because he can't see. But yeah, so that's a note to me.
Oh shit. We all furiously scribble.
You got to in this game, right? Because there was no like. It's not like you're not just checking off plot points. Like as the DM going, okay, we did that one, we did that one. It's like, no, we made this shit up, then we made that shit up.
That's why I watch it back.
Yeah, and it's just flitting from tree to tree, like he said, just hyper quick. He's the only one with the iron. In your head, you hear, "Oh, you've come to wither and die. How convenient."
Gear still holding the piece of iron, drops it into his palm and clasps it in a fist. You pervert the ways of nature. And I'll kind of stand up to his full height.
But you say that, but in your hand you have proof that nature also dies. Even iron, even the magic, even the ore. Over time it rusts and flakes and disappears. Like everything.
Look down at the piece of iron. You came for something so simple. Yet you displace all of the creatures of this forest. I can't allow that to continue.
I did not displace them, I simply came. I came for that. One of the very few things I cannot make myself.
I can't give this to you. It's the only answers I have to find the other ones.
The other one? What do you know?
There are more. Bigger. Stronger. I don't know what they do yet.
You should not know of them at all.
Yet here we stand. You, in the forest that does not belong to you.
It does not. It is also not yours.
I only pass through it. I'll return to its roots once I'm done.
I wish to pass through it as well, but you have something that I want.
No. Either you leave, or you nourish these roots when I'm done with you.
Oh, you wish growth? Very well.
Here. The Caradwin in the back, not able to hear any of this.
Yeah, you just see him staring as she kind of popping back and forth between trees.
If Gear could bristle like a dog, he would.
Oh yeah. And I'm just gonna play it. The grass and whatnot around your feet starts to grow up around your ankles.
Oh, danger! So,
does it look?
Oh no!
To a hunter, like that, it's attacking.
It make a wits check.
Typically, yeah.
Doesn't that make sense?
Like I know they don't attack. I know
my
they
inner
don't attack.
DM just leapt out there and told you what to do. Does that make sense? Make a wits check.
Yeah, that makes sense.
See if you can figure out.
Because I know they don't attack, but like in the fiction of it, like does it look like it's making a strike?
Does it look like it's trying to hurt him?
And with the shadow vision, does it look like?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I think I also need to do a wits.
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
I think I need to face danger.
You probably, yeah.
Danger, Will Robinson.
So do I think it's attacking him?
What I would say with those results, Caradwin, you are convinced it's attacking him.
Okay.
Amala, you see better. It's just trying to restrain him.
Okay.
So we'll see if Gear knows this. Because what
If
would he
those make
do?
sense. Again, this is my DM has
Yeah.
leapt out of me. I have to
Well, but
stop
this
that.
it's your character. I mean, it's your NPC that is.
Yeah, okay. So there's some justification. So yes,
Yeah, because
So
what Caradwin is going to do is going to wait a few beats to see if Gear has anything to say. If
See
not,
how he
she's going to
reacts?
react.
okay.
Gear is going to, and this is totally unlike him, but fair in the situation, he is going to react with kind of an insight. He is going to face danger by analyzing the situation
Okay, so yeah, face danger
and
using
seeing
wits,
if
right?
he's truly in danger rather than just lashing out and cutting at these things.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is not
So
good.
face danger wits.
And we are still in the forest.
Yep. So +1.
Yes.
Oh, those are strong hits.
Oh yes.
That's a very strong hit.
Yeah, it's kind of
So-
the best of both worlds. I mean, because you absolutely crushed one of them, and the other one you just beat. So it's like, I don't understand. Oh, I get it.
Yeah. And so
Yeah, and Caradwin is just missed it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
so Gear is aware that this is more of a show of force
Yes.
than of an attack.
Yeah.
And so he's going to call out before we enter the fray here, if we have to. He's not going to move. Still has his fist tied around the chunk of iron. He's
So
gonna
that
call
means
out.
you're inside the fairy circle, right?
Yes.
'Kay.
And she's going to call out, Caradwin, your arrows. Well, that's the first time he's used her name, too.
yeah, I know, I noticed
Yeah.
that.
So you could probably hear the fear in his voice, I guess.
And so I want to aid my ally,
Mm-hmm.
namely him,
Oh, God.
the
Namely
thick one that's
Gear.
always in trouble. Yeah.
namely Gear,
Who just face
by
checks trouble,
securing an
walks right into it.
advantage with light.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, I like this very, very much.
this is
And
your
him pointing
Lightbringer
out-
talent, huh?
Him pointing out her arrows was the only thing he said, yeah.
Yeah, basically just ready your fire arrows.
Mm-hmm,
So you're like, Amala.
Bill, could you light a fire, please?
Right. Still like no, because he can only see 10 feet, right? He can just see Gear's back sort of ahead of him
Mhm.
and hear you and Amala yelling behind me, right? And he's just pulling,
Oh.
he's just like banging the rock and a flint together sort of in a general direction because
As a note, if those vines started coming up, he would have just smacked Bill in the chest with one hand just to push him back away from the vines.
well,
So that he's not
yeah,
caught on
okay,
fire.
yeah, you reached to do that and Bill stopped like as soon as he could see you, sort of at that 10 feet. So he's actually just outside.
Oh, he's a
that
ways
circle.
back. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not in,
That's why I asked if you were in it or not.
he's not in
Amala.
as much trouble as I am.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the secure an advantage with
Yes.
wits because this is insight and observation, and I'm going to spend a light to add 2 to it
Okay.
using my light thing.
So you're
doing
lighting
that
this
with
area up. Ooh,
wits.
interesting.
And the modifier is 1 because I'm spending, no, the modifier is 2 because I'm spending 1 light.
Yes.
Can I add to your anti-dryad description, Kevin?
Of course. I'm trying to figure out what she's going to have when she turns on the flashlight. But yeah, go ahead.
This awful, beautiful, nasty anti-dryad. When her eyes settle on you, they're ringed in this beautiful, bright blue phosphorescent light
Right.
that perfectly matches the mushrooms.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah. She's got like ring lights in her
Okay.
eyes.
And so
Amala.
the strong hit.
Yes.
So, Gear, you gain advantage and can either take 2 momentum as you prepare to act, or you can take control by making another move and adding 1.
Oh, I'll save that +1 for when I enter the fray,
Okay.
because I'm going to need it.
So what does that look like, Amala? How do you use your light to increase this power of yours?
So, what I saw was this thing attempting to restrain him. So I'm imagining that like a shadow wrapping him around him, and I'm piercing through it with the light so that he's got something beyond. He's not just entrapped. I'm giving him an out.
I love it. That's beautiful. Okay.
Oh,
So
so the
yeah,
vines.
yeah, that almost like bat wings are closing around him and coming in, and you're just no. And this beam of light shines on Gear and lights him up. If I may be so narratively bold, where it passes over the ring of the blue mushrooms, they crumple and turn into dust, thus leaving him an actual exit from the circle. Also, to be narratively bold, the light has another effect. She starts to back away into the shadows, into the trees. She does not want to be seen.
Before she can get too far,
Yeah.
Caradwin is gonna enter the fray.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or
Okay.
she's gonna shoot her arrow. I don't know if I can do that without entering the fray.
Well,
She's gonna
tell us what you want to do.
So once Bill has like one of the torches lit, she's going to light one of the arrow heads that she's covered in that pitch.
Yeah.
And once she has that ready, she's going to secure an advantage by aiming up, lining up her shot, and watching this thing move as Amala basically lights him up, lights Gear up. And so she's going to be aiming, and the moment that this anti-dryad moves, she's going to fire this fire arrow.
Okay, at the dryad?
At the dryad.
Okay, so yeah, enter the fray.
So
first things first, how powerful is an anti-dryad?
I was leaning towards formidable at least.
One box, you'd have to do 10 boxes of damage to it, or 10 actual hits to take it out, 10 harm.
I mean, it's more than the wolf we fought, so definitely.
Yeah, the wolf was dangerous, so this is the next step up from that.
So
yeah. Okay.
So as soon as Gear hears the twang of the bowstring, he's leaping off and kind of rolling to get into a better position.
Okay.
So
face to face with this
anti-dryad. So I enter the fray.
Yep.
Then depending on my momentum, secure advantage and then fire. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So yeah.
That's what it is.
So
you
when you
enter
the
you
fray,
roll for that.
You can roll plus shadow because you're ambushing, right?
Or heart if you just want to step out and just unload on it, or if you're ambushing it, it's wits. There's a number of different options.
I guess I have to roll plus heart.
The short answer on all of these is justified. You can use that skill
at the moment.
Yeah.
You might want to be a little careful about using shadow at the moment.
So strong hit, take 2 momentum, and I have initiative.
So make a note that you have initiative over this thing.
And I roll plus heart, +1 for advantage.
Yep.
Oh, if only my heart were. Okay. That's a weak hit.
That's a weak hit.
Which I will prepare to act. I will take initiative.
Okay, so no momentum, but you get initiative. So you both have initiative. Gear cannot see her, so he's not entering the fray. Or sorry, not Gear.
Bill?
I won't tell you what you can do. I'll tell you what I can do. Bill does not see you, and Feet reaches down with his 2 front claws and grabs Bill's eyeballs, like his eyebrows, and pulls back, and Bill just backs into the trees.
Gear
and him.
Yeah, I keep thinking that Ratatouille. It was nobody watched it, but it was a great movie.
It was a good movie.
I remember.
That was a good movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I got Fitatouille. Yeah.
Before firing,
yes,
Caradwin will tell Amala to keep an eye on Bill because he can't see. Just so that
and I didn't know that because
you weren't there for that, so she will point that out. She'll make sure he doesn't get lost or left behind, and then secure an advantage.
Or you're a nice tree, aren't you? He's just in the forest hugging a tree, him and feet. Oh, you're fighting over there. I best stay over here. So you have advantage. So, or sorry, you have initiative. So you would use. Oh, and then you're going to secure advantage by taking that action. Yeah, and that's
Yep,
a
secure an
weak hit.
advantage. The weak hit, and then on a, it says, and then okay, and then by taking advantage on a hit, you take 1 momentum.
Taking 1 more momentum. Yep.
So okay, cool. And then for
Loose the flaming arrow.
use the flaming
Are we going to
arrow.
do? I guess. I mean, because normally an arrow would do 2 harm, right?
2 harm?
So, we're
So
gonna make it 3
the
because
fire
it's flaming.
the fire itself was an advantage that we have over the
Right.
creature. It was more
Right.
like a
So it
preparation
doesn't-
for battle.
Yes,
so I don't
that's
think
already.
it
So
would be
yeah,
an
there's an
extra.
advantage
Oh,
built into
okay.
the attack.
Yeah.
You get +1 on this
so,
hit, then, right?
No, when we got the momentum for it when
We
we
got momentum
discovered its
for it already.
weakness.
Right.
mhm.
I will
So,
figure
yeah,
out the
so
mechanics of this game. I really will.
I am going to strike it.
Yeah. So just use strike because you have initiative. A full-blown
Ooh.
miss unless you
no.
burn momentum.
I am going to burn the momentum to hit it.
That's what momentum's for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you will
To turn
pay
it
the
into a
price, and your
strong
foe
hit.
has initiative.
Yep. Or I hit gear with a fire arrow. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
there's-
no!
And cauterize
so
the
I'm
wound, yeah.
I'm going to burn that.
So
Saves
you-
on my salve.
9
Yeah.
momentum to get a strong hit.
So you have to
Um,
burn your entire momentum bar back
It's gonna
down
have to
to
be sold as Gear's ass ointment.
I on a strong hit.
do your damage and retain initiative.
Yep. On a strong hit, inflict +1 harm. So you do 3 harm to it. And we had decided it was formidable, which means it takes 2 blocks, I believe. 1. So
She's attacking with a deadly weapon, so she does
so
3
that's
harm.
3 harm.
boxes.
Yeah. So 3 boxes. Yeah. And I'm just keeping track of them off to the side here.
Yeah,
So.
he's got the progress.
And I actually have initiative too.
So
And
that
so
was-
I guess she's just got fire arrowed.
Yep, and yeah, exactly. So yeah, it whistles past Gear. You're standing there, just ready to go, and actually standing there thinking, "We got out of this. It's not going to be a oh shit." As the arrow comes whistling over your shoulder and barrows into her, she starts to burn, but she starts to burn like wood.
And so Gear, knowing this, having kind of established what kind of creature this is, knows it's an ambush predator.
Yep.
And so he quickly dips out of the circle and puts his back up against a tree, closes his eyes, and just waits for a split second for that anti-dryad to show up. But when she shows up, he's ready for her.
Yep.
He rips his eyes open and drops down low and just drags both the claws across her thighs.
All right, give us a strike.
Let's see. I talked all that good game. Now I have to roll the dice.
You got 10 momentum. This is not an issue. This is just whether you have to burn it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I would suggest that. Even burning your momentum
Oh, no,
only
no,
gives
no.
you a
Yeah.
week.
Oh well. Oh shit. That's a miss.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not-
That's a full-blown miss unless you burn momentum.
You
And if you
missed,
burn momentum,
dude.
it's still only a weak hit because you can't cancel that 10.
Okay, so maybe
You can still inflict harm, though.
I'm gonna burn it. All
Okay.
the way back down to 2. So we're going weak hit.
Yep.
And so as
inflict
he,
your harm and lose initiative. Yeah.
yeah, so she's far quicker than he first anticipated, and she comes from a tree rather
Yep.
than from an opening.
Sure. Yep.
And so he only manages to land one of the claws on the thigh, but manages to gouge this huge chunk out of it. And as he's down low, he didn't anticipate her still being ready for him
Right.
after that.
So
So
that's
he's
2 harm, right?
his initiative is gone. Yeah.
We decided that those were 2. That those counted as weapons, so they were 2 harm. Okay. So yeah, between those 2 attacks, you have her at half.
And I know
You've lost initiative, yeah. So you're kind of crouched down in front of her. Amala, are you doing anything at this point?
So how close is Bill to the action? Is he, I mean, he's
Probably
closer than
20 feet
Amala
away.
is.
Yeah,
But he's
he
closer
j-
than Amala is.
Feet just backed him off the trail, like we were kind of walking up the trail beside the river. Feet just backed him off like 2 trees into the forest, so he's out of sight.
Okay, so I'm okay. Okay, yeah, and that's kind of a natural place for him. So seeing that feet has him in hand,
Mm-hmm.
oh my.
There's a flaming
you enter the
arrow
fray?
sticking out of this creature.
Well,
Gear has
entering the
just
fray
ripped one
to
of her thighs open.
do what?
She
She
did
is,
see what happened with the light on the mushroom.
yep. And right
Ooh.
now,
She would have
this
seen
creature
that.
is looming over Gear,
Oh yeah.
reaching back with these claws that, if I may be so narratively bold, I think that's going to be the title of this one, I think. The claws expand and get longer and bigger as she draws her hand back.
Okay,
And they
so I'll do another
probably
one with-
matching more of those scars on
Yep.
Caradwin.
Yep, it's even more obvious.
Okay, so I'll do this. I have one more light, so I'll do this. I want to try and inflict harm on it with the light. Well, or maybe just the keeping it the way open for Gear.
Chasing the light towards her might inflict harm, but you'd
Yeah,
have
without
to enter the
having to
fray
enter
to
the
You
see.
would have
fray.
to, yeah, you are not in the fray right at the moment. So the first thing you would have to do, if you're going to get into this fight, you would have to do enter the fray.
But I think if she wanted to keep the way open of clear of mushrooms,
Yes.
that wouldn't necessarily be
That's,
entering
yeah,
the fray.
that's, to me, that's not
Oh.
a, yeah.
So she's just playing cleanup with the mushrooms. You're kind of
so that you don't get trapped.
Yeah,
She's using
so
the
I'm
light as a
keeping the way
Roomba.
open for you.
Yeah.
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 So as a beacon, as a path open, okay. So I'm going to continue to do that. So I'm doing the same thing again. So I'm doing aid.
Yep.
the-
Aid an
an
ally.
ally.
Yeah,
Aid
absolutely.
an ally. So I'm doing the secure an advantage.
Oh, please roll well, because if you do this, I think we both get initiative. Yeah, if you aid an ally and they are in combat, you score a strong hit. You and your ally both have initiative.
But
Okay,
now
so
you
I'm
jinxed
using-
it.
So I'm
So
using
yeah.
wits,
Yep, for
and
secure
I'm
an
adding
advantage.
2 because I'm burning my last
Yep.
Your light.
Last light of the
my
day.
last light.
Yay!
Yes.
Strong hit!
Oh, wow. So, if I read it correctly, you embraced the darkness and just used the light to gain advantage. I love
Oh.
this. This is, oh.
So, what? Now you get to choose. So you
No,
secured.
you get to
advantage.
choose. You get to choose
Oh,
because I
you're-
did this aid an ally.
Yep.
Gotcha. So, well, when you aid an ally, you could choose either you getting the secured advantage or me,
You.
right? Oh,
Yeah,
there
'cause
you go,
she's
yeah.
not in the fray.
oh, well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
You may
if
make
she
an
was in the
aiding
fight,
you.
yeah, if you had
I'm
already entered
continuing
the
to aid
fray,
you.
yeah, if you had entered the fray already and then done this, you would have both had initiative. So,
Yeah, but I'm not in the fray, so I don't need
no,
initiative.
but you have given Gear initiative back, which is very important because he was about to
Yes.
get smoked.
And a strong hit on secure an advantage. You take control. You can make another move right now and add +1.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna strike her again.
Okay.
We're gonna go for it,
Yep.
I've made an opening for you. Go for
Yep.
it.
and
You
I get
guys
to add
can-
+1 from the advantage.
Yep. You guys both attack again because you both have initiative.
Okay, that's a weak hit.
That's a weak hit.
So she's still ready for it, but as the claw's still in her thigh, seeing her claws grow, this grin spreads across his face, and he twists the claws to grab a hold of what remains of the flesh there, and yanks the leg out from under her to
Ugh.
get up in the predator position with the other claw and just get ready to come down.
Yep.
So he's like currently just like rolling around like 2 lions fighting in the forest.
And
And-
because
And-
it was a weak hit, yeah, you do not come out on top like you thought you were. You know, you're in a tussle at the moment.
Yeah,
for
they're
sure, yeah.
currently locked.
That actually makes Caradwin's job easier if you're not on top. Because in this time was lining up this shot
Yep.
to fire again. She lit another arrow on the torch Bill is holding.
Yeah.
So that's 2 more harm. So what
Yep.
are we at?
You're now at 7.
7?
Yep.
7. And
So
so
you could potentially end this,
At any
Yes.
point, you guys can try to end the fight. Right? That is an
or
option.
you
You
can-
do not
or we
have to get
can-
all the way to the end of the bar.
or we can
Yeah.
boost it up one more and
mm-hmm.
try to end the fight.
And so she since she is aiming her shot, she's going
Yep.
to secure another advantage as per the asset that I have.
The archer.
Yes.
Coffee Dragon is on your side, Gear. I know
Oh,
she
no.
might be related to somebody else in this channel, but she's on Gear's side right now.
Engaged. We're engaged. Yep. Okay.
Okay. Take 1 momentum for a weak hit.
Yep.
And so and
I
then
really like the momentum mechanic in this game. This is
Yeah,
how I
it's
thought
good.
it was
It
going to work.
totally changes the whole
then-
story.
But I
Because if you don't
like
do
the
anything, you
feel
don't
of
get
it,
any,
'cause when you
right?
get momentum going, it can barrel over things.
It really
I love
does work like that, yeah.
Okay.
So,
So Caradwin, I got a weak hit on the strike.
Okay.
And so she lets loose this arrow and it hits and does 2
Yep.
damage. But in doing so, she hadn't noticed that the pitch that Gear had given her had been kind of, it hadn't been so great because it was from the surrounding area that was toxic. And so after she lets that one loose, her bowstring snaps
Oh,
because it had
yep,
hit, it had kind of
sure.
eroded, it had hit that, and so she has more, but she will have to.
It'll
She
take
It's
loses
going to take
initiative
an
because she
action
will have
to, yeah. It makes, yeah, you're
To
out of the,
restring the bow.
your foe has initiative. That makes perfect
Yep.
sense.
I
Yep.
hit her, but I've now lost initiative.
Absolutely. So, with that, we go around again. Amala? This thing
well,
is just
so
wobbling. It is all but finished.
And they're still kind of tussling, and
Yeah.
Gears they're like rolling around trying to get their claws in each other.
and distracted by the distracted by the bowstring breaking.
Which is an amazing noise, by the way.
Yeah.
It sounds like like a very high tension wire breaking followed by twang. Is the wood on tensions? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Caradwin's pack? Are you wearing it, or is it on the ground by where we were?
She would still be wearing it.
Okay.
But to restring the bow is kind of either something you have to do when you have
So
time or a 2-person job.
I'm
Yep.
gonna move to help her with that. If the pack, if you didn't have the pack right on you, I would have grabbed it and moved it over towards you to get to another string. But yeah, I will move to help Caradwin restring the bow
Yep.
to support the bow.
I don't think we need to roll a aid an ally on that one. That's pretty basic. I mean, you're just helping her bend it. She knows where it is in the bag and everything else. So that makes sense. Yeah. So that means, Gear, you still have advantage or still have initiative, right? No,
Nope.
neither one of you do.
I get a clash.
In that
Yes,
case,
clash.
yeah, you clash first.
Now, if it is my turn, can I end the fight after this clash?
On your action, yeah. I mean, you could
Only
try and
when I
end it
have-
right now.
You can do it right now.
It's just an
That
action.
that would be better than making clash,
Yep.
right? Because it's my turn, so I can either.
Yeah, because it's based on your progress, not your
When you
momentum.
make a move to take decisive action and score a strong hit is the way that it's
So we have a total of 9 progress right now.
Yep.
So I'm gonna roll 2d10.
Yep.
And we'll see how this goes. So you
Momentum
guys ready?
is ignored. So
Yeah, no momentum. This is a straight roll against our
Yeah. You could hit the die, actually.
Oh, I don't know where that is.
No, it's right on end of
Right
fight.
next to
combat
end the
move.
fight.
Oh,
The end
I
of
already
fight
have
move,
it
yeah.
typed in chat. Ready?
That's okay.
Okay,
Yay!
that's a strong hit.
Yep.
So
So
this foe is no longer in the fight. They're killed outright. And so,
They're killed
all right.
out of action, flee, or surrender as appropriate.
I would like to, if I may, get her out of this fight. Or unless you have something. Yeah.
Oh, but what does
mean,
he do?
Yeah, what is
Yes.
Gear doing?
What does Gear
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, you tell me what you do, and then I'll tell you if her plan works or not.
As her and Gear are kind of this mass of rolling bodies, Gear is kind of aware of where Caradwin is, so he tries to spin her in a way that reveals her backside. And then Caradwin, taking that split-second shot, snaps the bowstring, but lands the hit on the Dryad, giving him just enough time to pin her down onto her back, draw back with both the claws, and just start just like a wild animal, just ripping into her as much as possible.
And as you do so, she just sinks into the ground.
And just kind of just pummels this until it's earth and just starts ripping up earth on top of that until he has this like fallow kind of loamy earth that he has just drawn his claws through.
Just shredding, yeah. I just thought she was too cool to kill her right now. I want her to be able to stay in this forest and show up later. So, yeah.
And so
she
as
just melds into the ground, leaving a dead outline of herself on the ground. She never got a single strike in.
As Gear is kind of sitting there huffing, and like you hear this wisp of wind through the trees that sounds like laughter.
Yeah. Yeah, she would have done 3 harm on an impact if we had.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's only formidable, or formidable, as Guy would say.
That's gnarly.
So she sinks into the ground, leaving this dead patch behind her, this broken fairy ring of mushrooms.
And so Gear stands up and walks over to where Bill is, kind of ushers him over towards Caradwin and Amala.
Did we win?
Yes.
He's just like leaning in like the most myopic old man in the world.
Like furiously like restringing and
yeah. Just looking around, and there's no enemy, like there's no body on the ground that he can see, and he's. What was it then?
Monster.
Some kind of tainted forest spirit.
Mala is shaking a little bit. She's helping with that. I mean, you can tell Caradwin that she's actually shaking.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason Bill isn't is because he didn't see anything.
Actually, Gear walks over and stands in front of Amala, and he kind of looks down at her. Here. And he opens up his hand, revealing this small piece of iron.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "You've earned your iron."
And she takes a breath and stops shaking, and you can just see the anger and the resolve as she reaches out to sort of clasp your hand with the iron in between, and then she takes it. Oh lordy, I forgot to spend time thinking what the iron vow would be.
Now you have a piece of iron to swear it on.
Yep.
I have a piece of iron to swear it on.
I'll give you a minute to think, because when Bill sees Gear's hand open with that little cylinder of iron in it,
and it's perfect. It's about 2 centimeters long.
Yep.
No blemishes on the surface.
It looks like a cut piece of rod.
Perfect.
Yeah. And Bill leans in real close and has a look, and then looks up at Gear and he says, "So it turns out you're not mental."
No.
People in that village was throwing stuff at you.
Mental?
They don't understand.
No, he went on and on. I was in another town. I was hiding. I was stealing. and I saw him come into town, and he's going on and on about iron towers and such. And they told him to stop, and he's not stopping, and they're throwing fruit at him and everything. And still on and on he goes about iron towers. And look at that. I mean, it's not much in the way of towers, but it's sure iron.
Protect that piece of iron. It will draw things that you don't want to see.
And she opens her hands and drops it and just, with horror on her face, backs up.
Amala?
I was just about to swear to challenge Weena.
You're. Why? Amala, what happened?
The I I was reaching out to feel the path of the mushrooms and how large this was, and I was trying to sense it, and I stepped into the shadow world. And I think I was about to do something very bad.
I'm sorry. I don't know much about these things, but why would you then challenge your shaman?
Because Weena is a because she hoards the shadow, and she locks it away, and she's completely omitted it from my training, and that might have been smart. And I don't know.
You gotta watch with iron. It makes you do things, you know. Makes promises real and all. But I don't think it's a very good idea to challenge someone with that kind of power. I mean, she can see
I
through
don't think
time and
so,
space.
no.
Caradwin will go up to where Amala kind of backed up and take her hand. I don't know anything about these things, about magics and rituals. But I know that a teacher's job is to prepare you for what you will face. So omitting training in this area, in something you have encountered that you weren't prepared for, seems unprofessional and immature.
Well,
And I'm not saying you should challenge her. Sometimes
to be fair, I was doing something I have not been taught to do.
every student does. Every student forges their own path. Every student creates their own way. And I know that teachers can abuse the trust an apprentice gives them. It's a vulnerable position to be underneath someone with some form of power, be it mystical or not. And I know she means a lot to you, and that she's very important to your circle. But that doesn't make it right. Even if it is something dangerous, she should have. It was her duty to prepare you for what you would face. And she failed in that duty.
Were it that bad? I don't see it. I've not seen it.
It's not what happened now, Bill. It's what could have happened. It's what may eventually happen. Such neglect in one's duties this early on can lead to bigger problems, bigger mistakes, bigger
I
obligations.
don't know nothing about that, but I know it's definitely about shadows in here. And he's looking around at this forest.
You say she hoards the shadows. Would she know if you stepped foot in them? Is she watching
Almost
us
certainly.
So perhaps it might be
She
best if we
might.
were to solve the problem before we took you home to her, eh? If
Amala,
nothing
are
else,
you
we'll
in
use it
danger
as a
from
bargaining
her?
chip.
I don't know. Yes, I'm sure she knows that I just did that. I don't know whether she could scry, and she could use the bond I have with her to scry here. I wouldn't know if she is.
Are you in danger from her, Amala?
I'm ashamed to say I don't know. She's my teacher. I should say of course not. But
Sometimes teachers don't always have students' best
and I
interests
don't
at heart.
and I don't know how badly I've just trespassed. And look at what I almost did. I just I mean, look at the harm that I've already taken from this too.
You don't have to face this alone. It'll be okay. We'll figure this out together. I won't let you be alone.
Thank you.
That's got to be a bond. Like
I was thinking so
there's
too.
no question that is forge a bond for sure.
I don't even think you guys should have to roll for that.
Well, I was going to say I don't see how this fails for sure.
Yeah.
But let's do a roll and let the game do what it does, and we will work with what it gives us. I can see reasons why this wouldn't be 100% successful.
Well, and the rolls would also help us know about strength of it too.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do I do? What do I do here? Let's see.
So forge a bond. Why don't we do this to give you guys sort of an advantage on it? Why don't you both roll, and we'll take the better result.
Yeah, because I just rolled and I got a
That's a weak hit.
And it's heart. Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't let your stats tell you what you're gonna do.
I know.
2 weak hits.
2 weak hits. Okay, so
oh.
So you don't get the
this is
bonuses
interesting
for...
because you guys are here, so you get to decide this. On a
Okay,
weak
forge
hit,
a bond.
they ask something more of you first. And considering this went both ways,
swear the iron vow,
or swear an iron vow.
You have the iron.
I'm a little afraid of that iron piece. I mean, it
As you
drew
should
that
be.
thing we just fought. It has
Yeah.
it has drawn shadows to me and in me. I'm
It's
terrified.
made
Um,
Bill
that
make
little
promises
piece
he
of
had
iron, I'm
no intentions
terrified.
of keeping. Yep.
As far as Caradwin is concerned, either if Amala asks something of her, she's willing to do something for her. I don't know what you would want to ask her. That's your choice. But I'm okay with either. She would, depending on the wording.
And I suspect, I mean, Amala needs a sort of objective perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before I get caught up in shadows.
Yeah.
Here's an
what-
idea.
I'm curious what what we could also glean from the Oracle to weave into this, but go ahead.
Well, one thing I was thinking about was if Amala is scared of the shadow and well, bond works. If Amala is scared of the shadow and kind of what that means in the ritualistic sense, Caradwin could help teach her how to protect herself in other ways.
There is a concept. Actually, I know what Amala is going to ask. There is a concept of a tether. And there is a ritual to tether to a place.
Oh.
But Amala's not one to use things the way they are supposed to work.
No.
So,
clearly.
No, I love this. Yep.
So Caradwin, there's an idea of tether, particularly when walking in a spirit world, including the shadow world, that sort of acts like an anchor. Could I tether to you? So that if I become lost, the bond is to you to pull me back.
Of course.
That works both ways because you have literally asked her to be your anchor. And it's also, she has, in response, essentially taken an iron vow. If you want to add that, I'll leave that up to you whether you put that on your sheet or not.
Have to figure out how
it doesn't have to be. It could just be a favor, but that's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, that's sort of right there on the. It would be a low end, like sort of formidable or dangerous rather than a big one, but
it doesn't specify what the magnitude is of what they ask of you. It could just be, hey, watch my back, or
well, yeah,
and this is a big deal, right? I mean, can I tether to you?
And the strength of this bond, how do we choose the strength of the bond? I mean, this is
well, it's
if
you share a bond with someone, there add one, and you guys, I would say, have created the bond already. This is sort of the finishing that process, so I would certainly give you +1.
Yeah.
Heart +1.
Heart +1.
At least.
All of our heart just suck or what?
So wait.
I've got
where
2 hearts.
Oh.
So does Bill, actually.
That's like double mine.
Okay, I've lost track of what we're doing.
Okay, so so let's just follow the instructions. And when you commune with the spirit of a place, or in this case a person, roll +heart. If you share a bond with them, add 1. So absolutely, heart +1.
Are you looking? So you were looking
at tether.
Yeah, this is tether.
You were looking at tether. Okay.
Yeah. You have the asset tether, right?
No,
I do not yet. No.
But we're not doing things the way
I don't care.
We're not doing.
She already did shadow walk, and she didn't have that either. So.
But the thing is, so I don't have all the bonuses, but I use kind of the guidelines and
exactly. I love the idea that this is what your problem has been with Weena all along, is that you want to go, let me try something, and she's like, no, you must follow the rules. So I love this. This is wonderful, and you wouldn't.
Yeah, this is completely Amala.
Yeah. It also, exactly, because you're rolling heart all these times, and that's not technically your strong suit, right? So
it's not my strong suit.
But it's something you're driven
I'm
to
very
do.
willful. It's
Yep.
a wits. Everything's wits because I'm very willful.
And Caradwin is very curious at heart, but she also cares a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so I need to roll a plus heart because essentially I'm making the tether
Yep.
to her.
Plus heart, plus one.
And is that going to be the strength of the bond then?
I think, well, yeah, I think something like that.
I mean, that seems like a reasonable
Whether it's a
thing.
strong or a weak hit, yeah.
mhm.
Okay, so I'm doing
So
Heart
heart
plus
one.
one.
plus one.
Ooh.
Beautiful. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Okay, so what does that mean about the strength? Let's see. So
That is 2 strong hits. I would call that a 2-box bond. Does that make sense? Because
Oh,
we've,
like a
we've got a
plus
1 and
sign?
a 2 now, right? Everybody started with a 1
Yeah.
and a 2.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
I would say that the
I-
promise you guys just made to each other is probably at least as strong as the 2, right?
I was gonna argue that my 2 bond was
Yeah.
to her twin brother. And so I
Okay.
was gonna argue that this bond will be probably that strong.
Yep.
Okay,
So there you
that
go.
makes
Yeah.
this a 2
A
bond.
2. Yeah.
Yep.
So each of you have a
Okay.
bond level 2 with each other.
And Amala is tethered.
Yeah, and the tether goes away if I tether to something else, but this gives me a safety net if I go walking in shadow or in the spirit world, or if I do this walking again,
Yeah.
it's kind of scary out there, and I've got
I-
a nice little safety net here.
I would also suggest, because it says you may roll when you return to a journey. So I would suggest anytime the two of you are separated and come back together, you could make that roll for momentum. It's like, oh, my anchor's back. If that
That's a
makes
good
sense.
idea.
And if we remember. But let's not make this too complicated. So the two
What?
of you
That
are
doesn't sound
now
like us.
bonded.
Okay.
And I figure, as far as this goes, it wouldn't be an iron vow per se because there's not really an end
No.
goal.
No, it's much more a bond.
Just like it's more a promise of like
Yeah.
I'm here.
And in those moments when it's appropriate, that bond will go up, right? I mean, if one of you saves the other's life, they both go up one, right? I mean, that stuff is going to be fairly, I think, intuitive to figure out. So, with that, a bond is sworn. Does that mean you're keeping the iron, Amala? Because as far as I know, it's still sitting on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not touching that thing yet. If Gear wants to pick it back up again, that's terrific, and that would be highly appropriate, but I'm not ready to touch that. I got to consult with the crows a couple times. I need to refill my light. I need to get into a better place before I go anywhere near that thing.
Fair enough. I like that. I like
Okay.
that logic.
So
It's like, this is too serious. No, 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 no.
So Gear will walk up and, after telling her that she's earned it, kind of shoot her a quizzical look.
And I
Bend
just
down.
freaked out. Well,
Yeah.
and it was after you said that it called. I forgot exactly what the words are that you said, but when you said that
What it calls.
Yeah,
Beware what
keep it safe
calls,
because
something
it
like that.
calls things.
it
Yeah.
calls things, and that was what triggered the realization that just absolutely horrified her, and she just scrambled away from it as fast as she could go. So
Gear will bend down, pick it up, and still kind of a very soft for Gear kind of concern. Not concern's definitely the wrong word, but he looks over with confusion painted on his face. You're afraid of it? Very well. I'll hold it until you're ready. And he'll thrust it into whatever the equivalent of a pocket is.
Yeah. And I guess at this point, it'd be reasonable for Bill's vision to start coming back. And
I was just gonna
I start
suggest
looking
that we go
around.
fix his vision.
Yeah. Now that
Yeah.
we're out of
Yeah,
immediate
he's
danger.
and you're
got some
seeing an
time.
intense and fraught moment among the rest of the group.
We're not done
So-
yet. We still have to clear the mushrooms from the trees. We have to find the taint in the river. And once we find it, we can go above the taint, and you can wash your eyes and be free of that poison.
You don't think that was the thing that... Whoops, wrong accent. Whoops, holy shit. Whoops, that's Monday night. I put the wrong accent on tonight. Oh, the humiliation.
No shit.
The shame, the shame. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Ah, you
Rewind.
don't think
What are
that was
what are
the...
those tapes called? What are those tapes called that actors use to practice?
The
an
blooper
accent?
reel.
Yeah.
No. The tapes that they
The
use for
Berlitz.
practicing.
They used to
an
be
accent.
Berlitz was the language tapes.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
Or the accent tapes, yeah. I forgot who I was for a moment. So yeah, you don't think that was it there, the cause?
The taint still remains. We have to chase it off.
It may have been the cause, but it's still here at least.
And so
Right.
Gear walks over to this long, low-hanging branch and breaks it off. We're gonna need a longer torch if we want to get the ones in the trees. And he'll lasso that one to the torch that Bill has and
Okay.
hand it to him.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, and maybe we ask the Oracle, does the trail continue on from here, or was this the source?
I think this was the source. What we're doing now is just kind
Just
of
clean
picking
up.
up the last little
Okay.
pieces, cleaning
That's
up the river, and getting
Because
rid
it was
of the rest of the taint so it doesn't spread.
yeah, it had permeated the earth in places, and so we just gotta deal with it.
right. Okay.
That was what I was thinking.
That works.
Because
yeah.
clearly
So,
this is something that would have caused it.
yep. So yeah, Bill's got he's having a hard time because he's got an iron of 1. So there's a big heavy stick. He's having a hard time holding onto it, edge and iron of 1. So, but he's burning all these, and there's these little puffs of smoke as each one of the mushrooms starts to burn up in the trees. But he can do that.
And what do we find in the river? What's blocking and or tainting the river?
Well, I was thinking, wasn't that also this?
My original thought when the water came over the edge was that there was, weirdly enough, and I don't think I led to this, but my thought was that it was a fungal infestation of some sort, and it had somehow blocked the river, and then every once in a while it would grow and then get broken and then grow and get broken. So perhaps we find that right here, like next to it's an it's another
Go on.
Amala moment. By breaking the ring, the fairy ring, she has broken the magic, and between that and driving the anti-dryad from this area, we now just have to clean up the mess.
So we've broken the hold of the dryad in this area, at least for now.
So,
And I
on
did that,
that
just trying to give you an escape route out of it because you were trapped.
well, here's the best bit, because this is
Somehow I
a
keep
perfectly
falling into these
logical
things
place.
by accident.
This is a perfectly logical place to try to resolve my vow, fixing the water supply, because we think we've done it. I'm at 6 at the moment, and I just found out there's a fulfill your vow button right next to. You don't have to go to the fulfill your vow move. It's right on the front page, where it says where your vows are. Right at the end, there's a little die that says
yes,
fulfill
yes,
your
yes.
vow. So I'm going to. Oh dear.
Oh no.
And I do not have
That's
enough
not it.
momentum. So we
What
burn,
happens
we
when
dig out, we burn some more, we find some more. And we don't know. We thought we got it all. And we leave and head back to Kinheim, believing that we've solved the problem.
But we haven't.
Well, did you see what happens on a miss for you?
Oh yeah, bad things happen to my spirit, right? If I remember correctly.
No,
Oh, let's have a look.
no.
Fulfill your vow. It's not a forsake your vow. What did I do?
Fulfill your vow. You rolled, and
Oh,
you
right,
got a
and I
miss.
failed,
And
right,
it says
so-
your quest is undone. Envision what happens. That's we already did that, and you choose one. You recommit, clear all but one filled progress, and raise the quest's rank by 1. Or you give up and forsake your vow.
What's
Here's the
Bill gonna
thing.
do with this?
I know exactly what I'm going to do, but it's horrible because it's not an act of will on his part. because I said he's convinced he solved the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he's forsaking.
So I'm forsaking the vow
That makes sense, though.
because I think I finished it. So forsake my vow. Clear the vow and endure stress. I suffer spirit. It was only a dangerous quest, so I suffer -2 spirit. And I don't have to test my bond. So, yeah, I need to endure stress. Clear the vow and endure stress.
Yikes.
And so what does Gear think? I mean, because you pledged to clear the forest.
So Gear is going to probably return and see what happens as far as the next day goes, and
Yeah,
see if
because his
any
was
wildlife
to
returns.
bring nature back into balance. He's not
Mhm.
finishing his yet.
And so by clearing the taint and what he thought was assisting Bill in cleansing the water supply. Oh no. So yeah, when he hunts tomorrow morning or tonight, he's going to try to get in more touch with the nature and see.
And that's when you'll probably try
Cost
to.
me momentum.
That's probably when you'll try to
And
finish your
offset
vow
one
or whatever.
spirit. Okay.
What day do we think it is?
I was thinking because it was. We woke up, got attacked by wolves, and started moving. So it's probably reaching nighttime by the time we start heading back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll probably end up spending the night out here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep up with the bookkeeping, I did endure stress. I got a strong hit out of it, so I burned 1 momentum to reduce the spirit damage by 1, so I only took 1 spirit damage.
Okay.
Or 1 spirit harm from that.
So how does that manifest?
Yeah, he steps, because he's never done, like, never in his life vowed anything or promised anything he ever expected to follow through on before. So I imagine he, like, steps back and thinks, shouldn't it feel better than this? Shouldn't accomplishing something feel like you accomplished something? It just doesn't. I don't know why people do this. His momentum and his
Sounds very
spirit are
Bill.
both harmed.
Ruh-roh.
Because like I say, he's never made one before, and this was the first one that he made fully of his own choice, as Amala pointed out several times. The first one was almost a mistake,
On
and the second
purpose.
one is based on the first one. So, yeah, he
How
was
do we
terrified into making an iron vow.
Spirit later.
Sorry?
I know how we
Um,
regain supply, but how do we regain spirit?
I think you can
sojourn.
heal.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
sojourn.
there's-
Yeah.
So
think
when you
that's the only
spend
way.
time in the company of your allies or of people in
Yep.
Someone
towns,
you share a
and I
bond
think
with adds
if you
+1.
if you
Yeah.
make camp, I think you can also.
Which makes sense. I mean, that's
Which we're
what
going to be
about to do.
doing.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna, if we
You
make-
relax. You take 1 spirit +1 spirit when you make
Okay.
camp.
So yeah, if
And,
we're going to make
doing
camping,
doing my normal rituals.
yes,
you know,
gathering your
doing
light.
my light ritual for the night. Okay, so that is the calming and restoring, and the drawing the light back in helps restore that. Okay, so I need to do my light ritual. All right, so we are making camp now.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I can roll.
So we'll
to
we'll
make
move it
camp
along
if you
here.
Only
want.
one person rolls for make camp, and then we all roll for sojourn to see what happens.
Yeah, I
no, we
can
don't
do-
sojourn here. We get whatever
No,
she
you're
rolls for
resting.
camp.
You're
Oh, right,
resting.
right. Rest.
so-
It's its own thing. Right. Never mind. I was 2
So-
steps ahead.
Sojourns.
Once we get back to town. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, so
So
on a
a
week
week hit.
hit, you choose. Each of us choose. No, on a week hit, choose 1: recuperate, partake, relax, focus, or prepare. And I
So
say we'll relax to gain the plus spirit, because that will help both Bill and Amala. I
Rest
believe
or
Amala
recover.
took spirit damage.
Yes, I did.
so yeah, you
I'm gonna
and
take the
you got
momentum.
a weak hit. So yeah, we can each choose our own from what
Yeah.
how I read that. So yeah.
Okay, so I will get my
And I'll take
Yeah, Bill's just going to
spirit
relax and take
back,
1 spirit back.
and I need to do my my light ritual.
Yeah, I'll take the momentum. since
Ooh,
I'm-
I forgot I have
Uh,
physical damage too. Oh well, we'll leave that.
Did you?
Let's
Yep.
see.
Oh, right,
I'm
from
at 4
getting
health,
your eyes
so
burned.
my eyes were burned. Yep.
Okay, so plus wits.
Oh, so now, oh yeah, the sunburn from living outside is all
Ooh,
burned
ow.
off around his eyes, like the acid. So he's got like reverse raccoon eyes, like they're pale and white and pink against the dark brown background.
So
And while after Caradwin's made the camp, she will take some. There's probably some kind of plant, some leaves, and kind of try to help with that the
Yep.
burn that
Yep.
he has. Not, I don't know if it's necessarily a heal action. It's just to help soothe it.
Well, let's take a
Oh.
look at the heal action. Nobody's done it yet. Let's have a look.
I was gonna take
did
the heal
heal.
action to help
Oh,
you out.
you can take
Did
it.
we?
You can take it, Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I've done it
Amala did
before.
it once.
I did it. I
She
did it
healed
once.
with
Yeah.
the salve
She healed.
when I
Right.
was shot.
Right.
When I was shot.
I healed Gear's wound. Yes.
I will pay it forward.
Excellent.
Gear in quickly becoming traditional Gear fashion just walks into the woods.
Yeah. This
And he
is going to
comes-
be your Liam sentence. He just
Yeah,
turned
he
and
just
walked away. Yours is
stands up and
walks
just
into the woods.
And then this is as Caradwin's sort of building camp and getting fires and everything. He comes back with what he believes are medicinal kind
Oh,
of
no.
leaves that in his that his people have used before to treat wounds.
Yep. Let's
And
see if
so
he's right.
he is going to. We'll see.
One of the two was right.
So I'm healing your wounds.
Yes.
So I will take -1 supply. Ooh, or minus
Oh,
one.
minus one supply, which we were all supplied up. So, we have
So-
to take.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we
go
have
ahead.
to take one when we. But we're going to be getting back to the circle as long as we don't.
So when Gear comes over he comes in with like a handful of leaves and a couple of really, really tiny branches. He comes over. Lay down. Well,
Caradwin starting the fire and just looking at Gear, very confused.
and he's like rooting through our supplies and getting like water and stuff so he can dampen up these leaves.
Yep.
And as he dampens them up and mixes them with the sticks and begins to form this kind of poultice, he takes it on his thumbs and just pushes it into Bill's eyes, like up and around the outside. And it probably stings pretty bad at first,
Yeah.
but it's like cooling, almost like menthol-y.
Right. So yeah, I'm blinking because it's like I got menthol in my eyes, but at least it's not. Yeah, it's not like it was. So yeah, I get up to 2 health, so I'm back to perfectly healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And we suffer 1 supply or 1 momentum, your choice.
We'll take the supply just because it was the fresh water that we collected from above the river, we'll
Yeah.
say.
Right. So that takes our supply down to 4. All right. Because you guys resupplied in the last round, which was nice. Okay. So, with that,
Caradwin, once camp's all set up and we're all kind of
Mhm.
oriented, Caradwin will actually look to Gear and say, Bill was saying something about you and iron pillars.
He doesn't say anything back, he just kind of nods in affirmation.
he was
What's
talking
that?
at one. He was talking about 1 3 times the height of a man. He was, and so large around you couldn't put your arms around. He was on and on about it.
You've seen something like that.
No. Only in my dreams. Ever since I was chased from my forest, they've plagued me. I can see them when I close my eyes, some wide enough to fit a whole circle in. Others skinny, tall, reaching toward the heavens.
And you're trying to find them then.
Yes. I think they have something to do with the Man of Metal.
Man of metal?
Mm-hmm.
That was the other thing he was on about. Metal men of all things.
Like armor?
No. He was flesh like you and I. But his eyes, they were like molten metal. Nothing I've ever seen before.
And you saw this also in your dream.
No. He I saw in person. He's the one that chased me from my woods.
I see.
And
Well, up
what
until
do
an hour
those
ago,
have-
I'd have said you were mad, but
But what does that little piece have to do with those?
The metal man, he came with many others. They came with metal tools. And they took something very, very valuable to me and my people. Now I'm trying to find it and bring it back.
What did they take?
This is not some trinket that you can stick in your pocket. No item, no weapon. They took from me a guardian spirit of the woods where I live. A creature we only call the White Mane.
oh,
I was only lucky enough to see it one time. Even though I was tasked with protecting it. It's like your people call an urban legend.
and so you're after, or are they connected? This metaloid feller in these towers.
They must be. The dream started after the forest spirit was taken.
If iron pillars or pieces of natural iron like this attract those kinds of beasts. And Caradwin starts thinking. She's kind of in her head a little bit.
The gears are turning.
Yeah.
But
I smell smoke.
look over and gear is turning.
Pay the price.
Yes. Pun dash.
I didn't even realize it was a pun.
You get one of those every single time, don't you, Kevin?
Awful pun.
After a certain
Awful
age, you
pun.
just you develop the ability to make dad jokes on demand. So I don't know what to say.
Here, if you're looking for those kinds of pillars and monsters like that thing we faced today are a sign of it, then I might know where some are.
Really?
North of the Veiled Mountains, where I'm from, there's a place we call the Shattered Wastes. Very few ever go there, and even fewer come out. It's said to be dangerous and desolate, filled with all kinds of creatures you've never seen and never understood, with ground like shattered glass. I often strayed farther north than I should have on hunting trips because it was curious. It was something strange that nobody understood and no one would answer my questions. And one day I strayed a little too far. near it, near this land that was it was flat but jagged.
Where are you
There were-
going with it?
The mountains just stopped.
Can't
I
eat
just want to
that.
quickly interrupt. Karis, can we get you to mute? Thanks.
The mountains stopped, and it was like it was another world, not even like going down into the valleys. And something came out of it. It appeared out of nowhere. It didn't look like this one. It was sharper, more bestial than humanoid. I barely escaped with my life that day. And she'll kind of gesture to the scars.
Gear
But if
pulls off one of the pelts that's underneath and kind of lays it out on the earth. And as he lays it out flat, you can kind of see that it's taking the shape of a wolf. But as it gets towards where the wolf's kind of shoulders and head would be, it splits into two, almost like this creature had two heads. And he kind of flattens the pelt out. Where the iron shows, nature becomes warped, changed. When my forest spirit was taken, the creatures of the forest, they were different. There was nothing to hold the woods in balance, and so they ran wild. Creatures like this one now reside there. Until I bring it back, they will continue to run free. They're vicious, nasty, warped by the iron.
I have no way of knowing whether these iron pillars are there. I'm assuming if they were large, like the ones you say, we would be able to see them, or I would have seen them. But perhaps the wastes are bigger than I know. Nobody. It's dangerous. But if those kinds of beasts are there, I saw it, and I only could get one person to believe me that it wasn't just some animal or one of the wyverns from the top of the mountains.
Then I will go. And if it's
Alone.
true, if I must, and if the iron is there, I will remove it and return what should be naturally. Otherwise, I'll return to the soil trying to do so.
I think I might have an
Oh.
idea.
I saw you. I was watching you, Kevin.
Yeah, I just wait.
I saw you sit back and go, "Oh my god, I have ideas. They're all coming at the same time."
There were a number of them.
I was watching you just go.
Same. Me too.
Well, it seemed to me like we're a pretty good team, us. We got stone cold killers. We got a shaman. And we got a sneaky fucker. I think we ought to stick together. And I think that if we go one at a time, we can get everybody's everything all figured out. Don't ask me how I think that. In fact, right now I feel like somebody crapped in my head. But I just got this feeling. I don't really much care where we go, but if you don't mind, I'd like to go with you.
Well, I wasn't about to let Gyr go alone into the shattered wastes.
Oh,
But
really?
ain't you got
think
someplace
could
you
keep
need to
up?
go to, miss?
There is. But I have this horrible, horrible feeling that everything is connected in some way. And yes, Gyr, I can keep up. I've at least been there before.
But Caradwin, what about Cadell? Our clue towards him is to the south.
Yes.
It seems to have a little more of a timetable than mine does. If this tower is there, as you say, there it will remain until the whites are banished from it.
I need to find my brother. Hopefully alive.
Then we stay in Kinheim for another day or two, and we begin our trek south.
Speaking of which, I'll mention the other elephant in the room. Shaman Amala, you, I can see in your face you've had quite a day. You mentioned yesterday, before we left, that you were going to have to lie to your shaman lady to leave town. I don't know much about wise women, miss, but I suspect she's going to know you're lying. I'm not saying you have to have a plan, miss, but you might want one by the time we get back to Kinheim.
I think in the morning, I shall have a heart-to-heart with the crows on whether I should go back.
Oh.
Or whether we should just leave from. We have to go back. Caradwin's horses there.
You don't have to go back.
I
No,
was
you
just
don't
going
have
to
to.
say, miss, I'm particularly good at making things go missing. Your horse, it likes carrots. I pull out this, still got that I still got like half a dozen carrots. They're getting a little wilty. They've been in that bag for a day, but
A travel as long as ours is going to be. We'll all need horses.
I agree with you there, miss, and I'll fill us right up on horses, but probably not from the town that Amala's just leaving without telling anyone. We don't need to be hunted by an old circle now, do we?
I'd like to stick around for another day. See how the force returns to natural.
I ain't going to argue against sleeping in an house one more night, that's for sure. But speaking of sleeping, I look up at the night sky and the Milky Way across this, because you can see it because there's no city lights. And I'd like to think that as everybody looks up, they see whatever it is that they're expecting to see, hoping to see, dreaming about. And on kind of an anti-cliffhanger, I think that is where we will call tonight. Because every once in a while you have to end on a peaceful note. So thank you, first of all, to the three of you. That went places I don't think any of us expected it to again. And if I may be so bold, we appear to have something remotely like a plot. In fact, we've got two of them. So I think next week is going to be really, really interesting. But until then, Yeah, exactly. Oof, indeed. I want to go through everybody here and give you guys a chance to share anything that you're doing. Maybe we should, well, here, I'll try and put it in the chat and see if it throws me out of my own damn chat. Let's start with Robin. You are taking care of our wiki for us and all kinds of good stuff. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I am updating the wiki quite frequently, usually multiple times a week after I get notes situated. There's a handy episodes list that has links to all the videos on YouTube and little summaries. So I have that I'm all working on. I also have there's all the characters are listed, all of us,
including NPCs.
and including
Mhm.
NPCs. There are some that are being added as we flesh them out a little more and give them traits. Weena being the only one currently because we need to remember these numbers. So and so I'm sure other things will get added too. There's a list of all the places we'll be going, all the regions will be going, and Kinheim is on there. It has its own page with the list of NPCs that live there and who plays them. So there's all kinds of information there if you want to check it out. I'm sure the link is somewhere.
I popped it over there, and it's got the
popped it
other
over
link
there.
too, which is to your art. You are the
Yes.
official Deadlands campaign artist over at Mercs of Mischief,
Yeah.
and you have many
It's
other
gorgeous.
arts that the link is over in chat.
Yep.
Awesome.
So, yep, it's
Thank you
got
so
my
much.
Twitter, so.
Oh, you guys, we added so much to this story tonight. I'm just, my head's just spinning. Anyway, next, Karis played Amala for us tonight. You do all kinds of stuff on the side. Hang on, let me get you your thing here. Bam, there you go.
Well, I play D&D, I run D&D, I play Minecraft, I make videos about Minecraft. I'm considering with a new snapshot just released with a big Nether update, and I'm trying to find somebody I can do a collab, a short, reasonably short collab series with on it. It's fun. So, yeah, I just
Busy. I love it.
busy. My links are out there.
Yep, this they are, and I don't
Feel
think
free to
we've got
drop
one.
by anytime.
Yeah, that's what we all want, right? Come give us a view. That's what. Let's just be right flat out open about this. Come look at our stuff. We like it when you do that, and it's good for us. So come and do that. Austin played gear for us tonight. The screaming for science this morning certainly didn't hurt the voice this evening. Gear was a little extra gravel.
Power through it.
But it was kind of
Power
an
through
extra
it.
gravelly kind of night, so it made
Yeah.
perfect sense. Tell us.
Mine's a little bit less, I guess, robust than everybody else's.
Oh, phooey.
A little more away from the RPG. I do play D&D 2 other nights a week with a couple groups, one specifically composed of DMs. But when I'm not doing that, I am either trying to educate myself or work to pay for that education. Like today I was at school at 7 a.m., got off about 5:30, rushed over here so I could get on and play Ironsworn until 10 o'clock at night. So
and we'll get you out of here very quickly.
This is the perfect cherry on the end of a hectic day. So.
Yeah. And Karis, no matter how many of those you try, I haven't got anything from him yet, so I haven't put anything in. I'm just going to make one up later tonight, basically based on what he just said. So
I will.
Yeah, you have.
I set an
real world.
alarm. I set an alarm to do it.
I have no life. You have a life.
But I
So
probably
you do your
snoozed-
life,
I
and
probably snoozed
I'll do
that alarm.
Twitch. So. And with that, I want to thank Sean Tompkin for putting this game together. It is different than pretty much anything else I've ever played, even besides the whole co-op version of it. There's that too, but amazing show. Ethan, amazing character sheet. And I guess I should probably bump my own stuff too. Yes, I am part of a wonderful group of people over on the Mercs of Mischief website, and Sundays and Mondays we play D&D in we're one world, 2 connected groups where we interact with each other all the time. So poor Puck, who runs that, has to deal with 8 players in one world, 2 of which will pull in the same direction. So lucky him. On Monday nights there, I play Guy Bontemps, the warlock of chaotic nature. And then on Tuesday nights, I run a Deadlands campaign over there as well. We just finished season 1. We're taking this following Tuesday off so I can get ahead of them story-wise. And season 2 will start a week from Tuesday, and it's only 1877 where they are, but they are off to Hollywood, even though Hollywood doesn't exist yet. And then other nights of the week over on my YouTube channel, I stream stuff, I put stuff up of me playing various video games, and I wait all week to come back here on Thursdays to do Ironsworn with my friends. So that's my week. This has been a wonderful one of those weeks. I want to thank everybody here and everybody who's stuck in chat. Thank you so much if you're watching on YouTube. Click those buttons, those likes, those follows. They make all the difference in the world. We all are having a blast. I mean, look at the smiling faces. Even Austin is damn near smiling. So,
He's
with
just
that,
tired. He did a lot of
as
stuff
I
today.
always say, whatever game you're gaming, whatever game you're playing, play creatively. You saw what it does tonight. And until next week, thank you and good night.